Hey everyone, it's Gracie, and today for my paper 2 presentation or my literature review, I'm going to be discussing the spiral of silence specifically within digital spaces and how fear of isolation can shape our self-expression online in a world that is so digitally saturated. So the digital paradox is very interesting. We know we have endless platforms to voice our opinions and state what we believe is true, but at the same time, there is a lot of growing fear where people on all sides from all backgrounds and walks of life are scared to share their thoughts online because of how much negativity and backlash that we see when people are open about their opinions in online spaces. So this brings forward a very critical question of how will technological advancement continue to twist the spiral of silence, or can we find any solutions within this communication phenomenon? So first, the spiral of silence is a communication theory developed by Elizabeth Noel Newman in 1974, and she proposed this idea that individuals are less likely to express their views when they perceive themselves in the minority within their opinion, which is driven by fear of social isolation. And over time, this silence reinforces seemingly dominant opinions, which further suppresses minority perspectives. So obviously we can see how this communication theory will tie into social media and online platforms. Perceived minority statuses, they sense that their opinion is unpopular online, which makes them feel isolated socially, and it makes them feel like because their opinion may not be the popular one, they're scared to share it in online social spaces with worry of criticism, backlash, or possibly even being canceled. So, because of this fear, they choose to be silent and not post or engage with content that embraces their unpopular opinion, which then continues to amplify the majority opinion, and those dominant or popular opinion voices become even more visible because there's no one else coming back with something different in online platforms. So, this is the cycle or the spiral of silence within digital spaces specifically. So, some research through my references that I'll list at the end of this presentation, we found the original theory of the spiral of silence that I just explained. We also found confirmations of this theory through different survey studies. And then as time goes on and the digital era becomes more prominent, we see research exploring this spiral of silence within online spaces, specifically with algorithms and the impacts within social media circles. So there's some cultural variations here in the spiral. We know that it's going to be different with collectivist versus individualist cultures. People within collectivist cultures exhibit stronger symptoms of the spiral of silence because the culture is so unified. There is typically one dominant opinion that oversees everything. Whereas within more individualist cultures, there are weaker effects of the spiral of silence because we are individualists. We have a culture that embraces individual opinions and identities and perspectives. So there is a greater willingness to express minority views within more individualist cultures as compared to collectivists. But there's also a large factor of political context where local political norms and the fear of isolation can seriously influence outspokenness regardless of if the culture leans collectivist or individualist. And we know that digital platforms can be a double-edged sword. On one side of the sword, it is always a platform used to amplify voices. We talk about how social media is your own virtual platform for yourself to voice your opinion, to express who you are and what you believe. But at the same time, on the other side of the sword, it can reinforce silence significantly with potential backlash, with cancel culture and harsh criticism being very prominent in our American culture specifically right now, and with algorithm-driven echo chambers. So within algorithm-driven silence, we see that platform algorithms will filter content and which seriously structures our own perceptions of majority opinion. And those echo chambers within the algorithms leans in one direction most often. Partisan media consumption increases based off of what the algorithm senses that you believe and the types of content that you want to see. And the algorithms will cater what you see to what they think you believe. So it becomes difficult to see content on when you're scrolling your news feed when the algorithm is picking up on your side of the story that you lean on and is feeding that to you. If you want to see the other side, you have to really go out of your way to research that and to see that for yourself, because the algorithm tends to just feed one side of the spectrum based off of the content that you consume. So within this literature review and this research that I gathered, there are a few gaps within research and a few points for future directions that continue to be studied. So there is very limited research with tracking spiral of silence processes and effects over an extended period of time within digital environments. This is a fairly new concept that still needs to be studied, but specifically over extended periods of time. There is still not enough research on cultural differences within digital contexts that relate to the spiral of silence as well. So we do need more research and more facts to back up theories within cross-cultural platforms and how people voice their opinions. And lastly, with AI being very prominent and new platforms coming up, the implications of AI-driven personalization with TikTok specifically remain completely unexplored within the spiral of silence because AI and TikTok is so new. We have not seen how this communication theory relates in those platforms specifically. So lastly, some possible solutions to breaking the spiral, which is something that I really wanted to seek out through this research project for myself. First, we see through the research that I collected that you can recognize the pattern of the spiral of silence. Understanding what it is and how it works can help you identify when fear is driving your decision to hold back or to not voice your opinion online. We can also promote respectful discourse in our online engagements as well. On our own personal platforms, we can create environments where minority views can be safely expressed, where people that maybe you're friends with on Facebook or people that follow you on Instagram can comment and say, hey, I don't know if I agree with that. And you be an example and say, like, that's okay. Thanks for offering your perspective, or making it a safer environment for people to disagree, because disagreements happen and that's part of being human and part of living where we are and being able to express our different opinions. And when we promote respectful discourse, this can help break the cycle that the spiral of silence can tend to ensue. And lastly, we can amplify diverse voices. We can seek out and engage with people who come from different cultures and backgrounds and norms than we do, and to see how people think differently and to see how that's okay. And again, break the cycle of the spiral of silence when we see it happening. So the spiral remains relevant across both traditional and digital contexts. While technology does complicate the model of the spiral of silence, understanding the phenomenon is so important for fostering healthy, respectful, democratic discussion in our worlds that are so interconnected and on these online platforms that really encourage us to voice our opinion. So these are my references within my literature review, and thank you for your time.